Hey guys, welcome back to our continuing coverage here at the 2015 NAB show. I'm John P.
And I'm Scott Ellis.
We've actually got two special guests with us here. We've got Mark and Robert from Sykes Audio.
Hi guys.
Welcome.
Okay, first of all, I got to ask, that's a cool name. Where'd the name come from? There's got to be a story behind it.
It's our background in psychoacoustics. Which is basically sound perception, human perception. And that's this man's specialty, dating back to the first flight simulator. He was a big part of designing.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so this would explain, I'm going to dig right in because I'm really fascinated by one of the things you're here to talk to us about, and that is Earprint technology. So if I understand correctly, you've actually developed something that allows a device to understand how I hear and adjust the sound accordingly so I'm getting an optimal experience. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
That's correct. Every day, when you're listening to something through a device that involves compressed media, for instance, you're always going to be losing out on the original in some way, shape, or form. The idea behind the Earprint is to take the content and make it so that even though it's compressed, to fix errors that would harm the quality of experience you would have and give it to you in a very compact format that applies to earbuds, headphones, any kind of wearable, sound docks, sound bars, stereo systems, automotive systems, surround systems, and even the new hemispherical surround stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through the process a little bit though, because usually on audio devices I've got some kind of equalizer, maybe
Treble,
different
bass.
presets,
Right.
and not everybody's an audio expert. We don't always know exactly how to set these things.
Right.
You're actually going to make that really easy on us and give us probably better sound than we're going to get on our own, right?
Right. I mean, and so the reason why we didn't do presets like rock, pop, and classical, or give you an EQ to mess around with, is that those settings are going to change from song to song. If you're listening to something that was recorded in the 70s, for instance, it's going to be a lot different than something that was just mastered last year. And rock, pop, classical, and jazz and those kind of settings, there's always something wrong with liking the classical setting for hip-hop music. So we didn't want to contaminate your expectations. Earprint really looks at your hearing profile, which is different. It's a fingerprint for your ear. We all have a unique hearing profile.
Now,
so
how
we
do
all
you
hear differently?
Sorry, Mark. How do you determine what my ear profile, my hearing profile is?
Let me give you one example.
Yeah.
And he's the genius behind the technology, but I'll give you one specific example. In the cochlea, right, there are millions of these kinocilia, or hair cells, and there's 3 rows of hair cells. And they line the cochlea in that snail-shaped organ inside of our hearing system. Now, as you get older, or if you listen to loud music, or if you smoke cigarettes, or if you have caffeine, or environmental factors can kill those hair cells off. Now, what we have built into this process is something called kinocilic recruitment. So it kind of allows the hair cells on either side of the dead hair cells to kind of help them hear better. So we actually are restoring hearing.
That's insane.
Based on how much hearing loss you have.
Okay,
So-
but how do I have to put something in my ear and you test me? How do you figure that out? I'll give you a very specific example. Personally, I actually hear really well out of my left ear, like very, very well. But my right ear, a long time ago, I had an ear infection and I lost about half my hearing. So I have totally different hearing out of my 2 ears even. What are you going to do about that?
This is one of the most exciting parts of the technology. Within the Earprint, there is a section called the Gestalt Engine. Now, what the Gestalt Engine is a set of specific knobs that you bring up, and they have different colors or different shapes.
In the app, can we show it?
Yeah.
We've got a close-up camera there.
You
If you
do?
just kind of
So-
point it this way.
This way?
Yeah, point it that way. We can get it. They'll zoom
There you
in
go.
on it. We'll see up there in a
Okay.
second. But
So this is kind of we're here really talking about the Yoda device because we're working with Qualcomm. We're leveraging their Hexagon DSP access network to put Earprint deeper into the firmware, so it's always on. And Robert's showing it on the back screen here. But basically, to what Robert was talking about earlier, the Gestalt engine and the different shapes that we have available are kind of like the modern day preset utilizing our technology. So if you look here, you have a description of each shape, and you have front and rear image width, as well as the level of artifact correction. Because there's artifacts in every compressed song ever.
Yeah.
And 99% of what you're getting on your mobile device is compressed.
Yep.
It's not a master, it's not PCM linear, it's compressed music. So we have different shapes here that represent different image profiles, front and back, different levels of artifact correction.
So do we plug in, like I plug in a specific set of headphones and then pull this interface up and...
Now, what you do is you pick your favorite song. Now, a lot of stuff's going to be going on in the background. You're going to be listening to it. You're now in the loop. You listen to your music. You go through pick a color or a shape, for instance. And it may explain to you what's going on within the app itself, but you're still listening to it. And you go, you turn that one off, and you go to the next one, and you engage that one. And then you turn it off, and you go through all the different colors. Okay, now what's actually happening is your hearing system is being trained by these different profiles as to what expectations are and what your actual personal capabilities are. Then, after you're done, you will select, it's easy to select the color that you prefer. It's a preference. You engage that particular feature, and you're going to hear it the way that you want to hear it. Now, the best way to prove this to yourself is to find any piece of music and find the color that agrees with you the most. Listen to a song. You'll notice that there's going to be pieces of it, like a shaker egg or a cymbal or a tambourine that you've never heard before. And now you hear it. This is the best part. Listen to it for about a minute. Play the song back again and turn the Earprint off. And now you'll hear it.
Interesting.
You'll still hear it.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that baking this into the firmware as well could expand it beyond just the music that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
So are we looking at enhancing just the sound of a phone call and
It could.
other things like that?
We could do that.
Yep.
We're looking at Spotify, any streaming services, YouTube, web browsing, any audio passing through the device. And Robert was saying colors, but what he meant was shapes, because with this particular device,
Yeah, that would be
this
black and white
integration,
on the
black
monochrome
and white,
display.
exactly.
It could be either one. It could be, yeah. So if people are thinking, oh, this sounds awesome, I want to get a hold of it, how will they do that? I mean, are they going to be able to get a hold of it in the Yotaphone first? Where are we going to start seeing the technology leaking out into the marketplace?
Well, we have an app available now.
So they
for
can download it
iOS
right
and
now?
Android. You can download it right now.
Okay.
Android, iOS,
Correct. Just search Earprint.
Earprint, okay.
Yep. But we're really excited about the integration with the Yotaphone 2, just because of how innovative this thing is. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, it's just such an amazing idea. And the implementation of it is really, really good and really solid. It works all the time. You know, there's no lag. It's very useful in bright sunlight and direct sunlight.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
Also,
no-brainer.
you got to admit, it feels good in your hand. It's got that
it's
really
great.
smooth,
Yeah.
sexy
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
One other question too that occurs to me is, we talked about like using it with earbuds and things. I think you mentioned, could you use the same technology with like Bluetooth wireless speakers
Oh,
or
yeah.
things? I mean,
You can.
It's going to improve any different
Yeah.
source, right?
That is correct.
So when I download the app, do I go through and set up a different profile depending on what devices I'm using? Different sets of earphones, different Bluetooth speakers? So
You
that I
can.
easily change
You
between them?
can, but generally what happens is that once you pick a specific device you're listening through, you select it, it's done, and it will remember that song with that setting.
Okay.
Some people like to go through different devices they listen through and different songs, so this will remember which ones they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So awesome. And how about the spoken word? Is it really just good for music, or does it improve just vocal listening?
Oh, of course.
Any sound quality?
Anywhere
Okay.
where you're missing, as Mark was saying, a kinesilia within the cochlea, where there's gaps in frequency places where death has occurred through ototoxicity or through damage through mechanical means. These can all be compensated for, and if they're in the area of, say, for instance, between 2 and 5K, which affects articulation, it causes articulation loss in human hearing, It also ameliorates the ability to spatially locate things for cocktail party effect. This fills in those gaps, giving us the ability to then resolve speech in a much better time.
Right.
It's a
If you
good
look
thing we
at-
have smart people like him.
I know.
But if you just
They make
look
life
at,
better.
If you look at compression from a general standpoint, there's a lot of information being removed, right? It's the same principles of psychoacoustics that allow compression to work and us not to really hear the difference between the original and the compressed version, right? Well, since everything passing through this thing is pretty much compressed, what our goal is to replace the lost spectrum that's being taken out during the compression process. So we actually can make things denser from us. If you look at a spectrogram, and you look at our process versus the original, you'll see a much denser spectrum from 0 to 20K than you will with the compressed file. And that goes for podcasts, dialogue, movies, the whole thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, well, everybody knows what to do. Go download the app. And you guys, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us today.
Thank you. It's exciting
I can't
stuff.
wait.
Yeah.
As soon as I get off, I'm gonna go download it myself.
All right.
So you guys stick around. We've got a lot more coverage here coming out of the NAB, the 2015 NAB show. I'm John P.
I'm Scott Ellis.
Be right back.